it. All right, it looks like we are live. So good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a fabulous Tuesday. My name's Kayleen McCabe, co-host with my good friend, Scott Sheelar from SEFCA. Scott, how are you doing this week?
I am doing great, Kayleen. It is, it's not too cold here in Atlanta. It's kind of at a good sort of Atlanta January place and just enjoying this time of year. How are you doing?
I am really good. It is cold and gross here. I'm not prepared for it. But I am okay with being back because I was actually in Las Vegas last week for the World of Concrete. In fact, sorry, I just got to mix this up for just a second. I was able to attend the Spec Mix 500 competition at the World of Concrete. And if you haven't heard of this, Scott, you got to make it a point to go some year. Both of us are huge fans of Skills USA, and part of it is that competition. However, this is all about masonry and concrete, and I got to see a house being 3D printed. They had an obstacle course where you could go drive dump trucks through things, but the piece de resistance of this conference is the Spec Mix 500, where they put the nation's best masons up against each other. And that competition is how many regular bricks can you put down in an hour? And it is, I don't know, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it because that's the end competition. There's one right before that on how many CMU blocks, those concrete ones you can put down in 20 minutes. And people, masons were putting down, 7 or 8 rows that were 30 feet long in 20 minutes. And I think the end brick competition, it was almost 800 bricks in an hour.
Wow. I need to get back to the World of Concrete. I was out there, it's been 6 or 7 years ago now. And actually that was part of what inspired our Career Expo. In fact, that's why I went out there. So maybe it was 10 years ago now. It was a while. And I was like, more kids need to see this, right? They need to see, World of Concrete. Well, not a lot of kids can get out to Las Vegas. And so we said, well, let's bring an element of the World of Concrete, back to Atlanta. And so, I need to get back out there because it's always inspiring to see all the new technology and, there's a lot of excitement, at World of Concrete. And I always get inspired when I see it.
Oh, big time. I mean, I saw a saw blade that was 6 feet in diameter. I'm like, I don't know what I need it for, but I need it in my backdrop now. And so I'm not sure if it's open to the public. I think the competition portion is, but yeah.
It's a good question. I think it is. It's expensive. I think it's expensive to attend a little bit because, it's designed for the trade, right? It's designed for people who work in the industry to learn the latest, technology and everything. And so I think it's a little pricey, but I don't know. It's been so long since I was there that I don't remember.
Yeah, well, it's worth reattending again when you can because, oh my goodness, it gets better every year. And yeah, I can't wait to see, again, students with the Skills USA. I can see there are so many similarities into that competition. Like, oh my goodness. So thank you for letting me geek out because it was fabulous. And so, Scott, what have you been up to?
Well, I was so excited to share this, Kayleen. So, my daughter Sophie really well, our mighty apprentice. She is she's actually 5th grade now. And she discovered, check this out, she discovered a little attic space in her house that she wants to finish out into a little fort. And so you can imagine how exciting this is. It's just a little nook. In fact, I should show you sometime. I won't drag my computer over there, but it's just, if you could picture a little 3-foot door that you open up and then it opens up into this like gable roof. It's like this unfinished space. And she's so excited about finishing it out. We're not bringing in a contractor or anything like that, but we're going to go, she wants to put little carpet tile in there. And we figured out that we need to put a little drywall on the wall, mainly just to keep, there are these exposed nails in there, right? And I don't want her poking herself or her friends, getting poked on these exposed nails. So it's a fun little project. We've been hanging out at Home Depot and I'll share some before and after pictures and I feel like we've made a little bit of progress, but it's been so fun taking her to Home Depot and finding the carpet and explaining what drywall is. We got into a whole conversation about plaster and how plaster kind of evolved into drywall. And it's just been really fun, sharing that journey with her. And I think it's going to be, something that she remembers. It'll be a fun space for her and her friends to enjoy, but it's been a lot of fun.
Scott, it's the best. I am so excited for, your entire family, because it's a fun process. I think there's something so beautiful about that. And, you can do this project, like that simple stuff, sprucing it up. Now, if you're like, oh, we're going to move the staircase, that's where I'm really excited about today's guest, because he's also knowledgeable and being like, don't do that. Like, stop where you can. And I can't wait to see before and after photos. And now I'm just like, all right, what tools can I send Sophie?
Yes. So, and I'm excited about our guest today as well, because Dave Baker, he's a legend here in Atlanta. I moved here in '93 and I've heard him on the radio all these years, and it's so fun to have him on our show. And Kayleen, I love his sense of humor. I was reading his bio on his website, and I think you read it too, but my favorite was 1975, 8th grade, began my building career by constructing a replica of the Taj Mahal out of Lincoln logs, Tinker Toys, and sugar cubes for what I thought was shop class. Turned out to be for English class, which explained why I got a D-. So I just love his sense of humor. Dave, I'm curious to know, did you ever actually take a shop class in high school?
That would be no.
No, that was the closest thing, huh? The English class and the Tinker Toys. That's good stuff.
I didn't take a radio class either, so what was the point? Now I'm in radio doing shops, so don't go to college. It's a waste of time.
I'm gonna drop off here in a bit, and I'll be back at the end of the show. But I want to let you and Kayleen visit a little bit, and I'm just gonna sit back and listen. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Scott. See you in a bit, and welcome, Dave. It's really exciting to have you here. And again, I wish that I was localer so I could listen to your program more often, but thanks for taking the time. And
thank you for having me. If they only had a device that you could hold in your hand and push a button and listen to a radio station.
Hey, I like power tools more than technology sometimes. I'm a little slow.
Good for you. Good for you.
Well, I'm really excited because, you kind of just mentioned it. I'm not knocking college, but college is not for everybody. And it's interesting that you are not really went to college for construction, which how can you? It's a lot of on the job, but now you've blended these two things together. But talk about a little bit about how did the home show come together? Or I'm sorry, the Fixit Show. My apologies.
Actually, it's the Home
Fixit Show.
Keep going. There you go.
I know, right?
It was a matter of just being in the right place at the right time. I started in 1980, at WSB, and in 1990, they said, let's do a show that we can benefit the people who are advertisers in the home industry, the home service industry. And at that time, I was having a house built, and I wasn't building it myself, but I was involved in the construction a little bit. And they said, you want to host it? I said, I don't know anything, but I'll be glad to host it. And it was the show was born with the idea of informing people, Joe average guy like me, of what they should be careful of, what they should look out for, give them ideas and when things go wrong or things go right, and what you're looking at. When the repairman comes and says, Mr. Baker, you need a new Johnson rod and it's going to cost you $15,000. I don't even know what a Johnson rod is. How do you know if you need it? Well, you call the Home Fixit Show. We'll explain it to you, and that's how we go.
I absolutely love this as a resource because it is valuable. My time on DIY Network, I saw homeowners just making terrible mistakes to the most expensive investment they'll usually ever have.
Exactly. And I have the owners of the companies on. I have their best techs on, so people can call and ask a random question to a heating and air guy if they don't know. And if they're having a new heating and air system put in, doesn't matter. The people I have on are great. If company B is putting in a new heating and air system, company A, my guest, he'll be glad to tell you, go watch out for this, watch out for that. This is what you should know. This is what it's going to cost, about, things like that. So it's a pretty good benefit to the people.
No kidding. Your listeners really are getting a wealth of knowledge. And what I like is that you're having experts on. And with that, in the last 20 or 30 years, what have you seen in trends regarding skilled trade craft professionals?
They're harder and harder to find. I mean, they're just, that whole segment is just aging out. You look at your heating and air guy, there's some younger ones coming in, but the old guy that owns the company, the people in there 50s. Not that 50's old anymore. I mean, look at you. You look great for 52. But not that 50's old anymore, but that whole segment's kind of aging out, and there's going to be a lot of room in that industry, not just heating and air, but in the service industry for young blood.
I completely agree and have a lot of philosophies behind why that is. What are some of the guesses on why don't you think young people are finding this as an appealing career opportunity?
Kids and parents both need to know that college isn't for everybody, and that's okay. I think kids get shuffled into the 4 years of high school, hopefully, and I got to go to college, and then I come out of college and I got all this, I owe $100,000 or whatever. And parents, it's their ego a little bit in there. My son's going to college, my daughter's going to college, when instead there are many facets they can come out and learn a trade right away. They can graduate from high school and start in the fall learning a trade and getting paid to learn the trade. So in 4 years, when all their friends are coming out of college with these bills, they've got that same amount in the bank. They've been earning money. They got benefits, and they got a skill already. They got a job.
Yes.
I just think there's a huge disconnect there, that people think they're stuck in this college. I got to go to college. You got to go to college, parents and kids, and you don't, and it's okay.
Yes, I completely agree. I did not go to college, and I think I'm doing all right. And we need to change the mindset that an apprenticeship, like a 4-year program, is like a bachelor's degree, but you get paid for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And so I really appreciate you highlighting that message too, especially on the platform that you're on, because we want everybody to be successful, and there are multiple pathways. And I mean, I'm seeing every single industry is in need: plumbing, electrical, roofing, carpentry, HVAC. What do you think out of those industries it has the most pressing need for employees?
It doesn't matter. Just, you could pick any one of those. And even if you're just coming out of high school, maybe this doesn't apply to you, but if you're 22, 23, 24, and you've been working at the Kmart or whatever it is, and you just decide that that's not quite for you, you can go back in, call me up in the metro area. Call me up. I'll get you into school. You can be working in that field in a month, making money. Those are the people that they'll take the kids out of high school and teach them, and that's what you're looking for. But even up to 25, 26, when you got that first job, like, this isn't really what I wanted. Any one of those places you named, a service industry, a building, carpenters, they're all looking. They cannot find people they need. It's just name one. Don't just say, well, I got to be a plumber. No, just name one and go.
Yeah, you could really just throw a dartboard at it. And, SAPCA has a great boot camp too along those lines on all the opportunities there. It's like, oh my gosh, the career, it makes me happy. If I don't make sawdust every few days, I'm sad. Like, oh, what am I doing? Okay, so transitioning, I really love the platform of your show and a resource for people, but
thank you.
I grew up in a house where I didn't know the proper post hole depth, what it was. I just thought you'd put a tiny child into it and have her stick her arms up in the air. And then my dad gave me a tape measure. And I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. I grew up learning how houses work. Why don't you think homeowners know how their homes work or more about them anymore?
I don't know. It's something they don't pay attention to. There's so many other, I'm not calling distractions, but they are distractions. There's media, multimedia, social media, and there's places to go and things, and it's much easier to get to other places. You don't have, and your parents probably don't have, the sweat equity built up in the house they live in to make it, knowing, when the refrigerator goes bad, what do you do? Oh, I call the refrigerator guy. When your plumbing goes bad, what do you do? I call the plumber. There's, and some of those things, the product is built so hard and so electronic. Your heating and air has huge boards of computer electronics in them now. You just can't shovel a shovel full of coal down in there. So a lot of that stuff is beyond what you think you can do. You can't just lift the lid and say, oh, this wire's wrong. And okay, now we got cool air. It's just the technology has gone so far that there are very few things you can fix by yourself around your house. Plus, it's just not worth the time. I don't think. You can call an electrician, call an HVAC guy, call a roofer. Right. Are you going to crawl? Are you going to crawl on your roof? And well, you might, but who's going to crawl on the roof just to fix a shingle?
Sure. It's
Why
a
would you?
like I built the kitchen behind me. I'm very proud of it. But the microwave on the lower level, if the light goes out, I have to pull the whole thing and like tear apart. Like the technology is ridiculous, but you're right.
Yeah.
There's now this like on-demand sort of want, like, oh, I'll just call a plumber, I'll just call an electrician, but nobody's going into it. That's what I don't understand, this disconnect where you own a home and you have young people into it, and say something happens to your HVAC, and coolest or hottest people, depending on the season, something happens. And so then you call them, you're in a need, you pay a lot of money, and yet they're not encouraging their student to consider this as a career path. Why is there such a disconnect?
I don't understand. I go back to my first answer. I think kids and parents, maybe even more parents, so they shove those kids off to college, to get that history degree. What are you going to do with a history degree? You're going to teach history. That's your options are narrow. And I'm not knocking on history people. It could be anybody. It could be, psychology. I mean, it could be a business, whatever. But people are forcing, people to go to college, kids to go to college instead of trade school. So when they get out, all of a sudden, well, I've got a college degree. I'm not going to be a plumber. Who wants to be a plumber? That's right. Who wants to come out of college in 4 years and be earning 120 grand, being a plumber? I would.
I know exactly. Like, I want to be that person with the boat and the nice car and, my mortgage paid off. That sounds pretty nice.
I think they're kind of looked down too. I don't think people realize the money that a plumber makes, or that a heating and air guy makes, or that an electrician makes. They make pretty good dough, especially for as old as they are. At least to me, when I was that age, they're making $75,000, $80,000, $90,000 is not unheard of. And that's not a guy that's been on the job for 20 years. That's a guy 4 or 5 years into it.
It is true. In fact, statistically, if you have a career in a STEM related field, on average, you're making around 90,000. That is a lot of money, even this day and age.
And you're doing it in a business where you're needed. It's not like you're doing it in something that's a fad right now, and then in a year and a half from now, we're folding up because the bubble burst on this industry. The plumbing bubble's not going to burst. The heating and air bubble's not going to burst.
No, I just saw a house 3D being printed by concrete last week, and that's cool. But in the meantime, a robot is not going to come in and change my toilet. That's just not going to happen. Like, it's not going to work that way.
Sounds like it is now. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like, it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
So with your experience on the radio show, I just really enjoy you have people call in asking you great questions. What's the oddest question you've ever received?
Well, that's hard. I mean, it's been 30 years, and I was trying to think that, I don't know. The most stumping question I ever had was, I had a lady call in the middle of summer, and she had a small little room, and it had green dots equally spaced 8 feet off the ground. In the winter, she painted them and they never came back. But in the next summer, they came back. She said that every summer. It took forever to figure that out. You want to take a shot at that?
Was it grass?
No, it's 8 feet off the ground inside the room in your living room. I mean, this is what we're doing on the radio. She's trying to explain on the radio, and we're not allowed this kind of.
I'm going to say it's some sort of leak in mold or something. No, I don't know. This is a fun game. Oh, okay.
It's not rusty nail heads either.
Okay.
Her ceiling fan leaked oil, and when it spun around, it shot the oil eventually off the end of the fan blades, and that's how high it was. And they shot across this small room, and so they were all the same height. And then in the winter, when she didn't use it, they didn't come back. She painted, they didn't come back until the next summer when she cranked her fan on again. There they all appeared. See?
How fun is that? Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And maybe that's just part of the industry too, because you kind of are problem solving. You get to think outside the box, and that's a really good story too. How random.
I know, right?
I'm putting the Palm Pilot.
We need to have you on the show. You need to come to Atlanta and be on the show.
Oh, in a heartbeat. Like, absolutely. I'm a nerd for this stuff. I mean, I spent, oh gosh, a long time on television shows as well, my own, doing stuff. But the weird things you see, it just makes me happy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. People will call. One lady had a frog in her toilet. It's like, how did this tree frog get in my toilet?
Right.
Well, do you have any trees over your house? No, I don't have any trees in my whole yard. And I
Oh,
could never figure that one out, other than this frog got into her septic tank system and did the Shawshank crawl the other way up the pipe and then through the drain and found its way in. But I mean, you get questions like that, and it's fun to play with them. But
no kidding. Yeah, that sounds like the beginning to a new superhero movie or something.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to your show, which folks can call in with questions, you also have a website with a lot of information, and I hope folks check that out. First of all, can you please say the website so our viewers can check that out?
As you can see, it's called thehomefixitpage.com.
Excellent. And on this page, you offer a lot of information. Talk about some of the information on there.
Oh, I have blogs on every home service area, any area in your house. Are they seeing this at home right now where I changed that thing? What you don't see when I change that is I slice my finger open on the metal that's right there, and there's blood pouring down my arm. Anyway, there's blogs on everything around the house, all the questions I get on the radio. I move them into blogs to try and answer them. Anything around the house, outside the house, all my experts are there. So you can go and click and find somebody. You can go to the Knowledge Center and you can see all the blogs. You can also see all my old show notes and listen to old shows from the last 6-7 years now. So
fantastic. What a hearty resource. And what I appreciate too is that not only can you answer questions, but then you're partnering skilled professionals with people who need help. So talk about what are some things that you look for in a qualified skilled expert?
I try and look for the same things that everybody should look for. I look for people that are reliable, people that know what they're talking about, people that can help people. They have the great customer back and forth. The show is not about, if you're on the show, you're not allowed to plug your own company. I don't want you there plugging Kayleen McCabe's Heating and Air. I want you there to answer questions. You're the expert. You know everything that's going on. And that's how they act. They don't say, well, call me on Monday and I'll give you the, well, that doesn't help anybody, No. But you ask any kind of wild question or regular question you have in that area. You got a project coming up, or you're in the middle of one by yourself and you want to know what's my next step. These people are happy to help you. Not only do they tell you what the next step is, they tell you why that's the next step, or why this is what they're going to tell you when they come to your house to put a new window in. They're going to tell you this because of this or this. And so you can kind of link it all together. So when people come to your house to do the work and you hear them mention that, you'll go, yeah, okay, I've heard more than one person say that. I heard that on Dave's show. They're doing the right thing.
I love it. Mystifying the magic trick, but then also putting the pieces together. So then
it's your house, right?
Yeah, making people successful again. I love it. And really, homeowners are just part of the puzzle that you work with, and you offer great tips to homeowners. But what are some tips for students entering into the construction industry? Help them, stand out, to be hired or recommended to work on the show?
One of the things, and I meant to mention this earlier, but school counselors need to get involved in what you're dealing with also. You should be able to go to your school counselor and say, I'd like to be a heating and air guy. Who do I talk to? And they should have the information to set you up in an apprenticeship, in a trade school, learning what you need to learn, oftentimes getting paid to learn. But if you're into that route, you need to be on time. You need to be responsible. You need to have a good work ethic. You more and more, you need to be able to communicate with the client, with the person whose house you walk in. That's very important to know all that. And to be good at that and to show them that you're good at that. That's just like any other field, but instead you're carrying a hammer and a blowtorch.
Agreed. And, we're normally in the heart of a home. And so it's important that communication, that'll make or break a contractor. It's not necessarily how well can you set a cabinet. It's can you communicate everything? Like, oh, it's so true.
And it's like real quick. It's like every company. Sometimes, not every job is a home run. You may go into a house and just totally mess it up. Okay. But if you say to your client, to the homeowner, look, I totally messed this up. We're going to make it right. Here's what we're going to do. You get more respect and more positive reinforcement, positive comments about that, I think, than you do if you just waltz in there, do it right, and waltz back out. I mean, you have to be responsible for the work you do and own up to it. Not everybody, does it right the first time. Everybody has a, did the Broncos win the World Series this year? No, they're not even a baseball team. So see, I admit I just messed that up. Now, don't you respect me more?
Oh, totally. Yeah, bunches. I like sports, but really my favorite part of sports is the wave and ballpark hot dogs. So
can't go wrong with the ballpark. You can complain about a 5-star meal, but if you get a cold hot dog and a soggy bun wrapped in aluminum foil, that's the best every time.
Just that it is. It truly makes me very, very happy. So I like all the knowledge that you're passing on, and you want to encourage homeowners to do and take care of their own stuff. But what are some things that homeowners often do not have on their radar and don't really realize that it could be a problem until it's too late to fix?
One of the most important things, and I talk about this a lot, for $1,000, maybe 100 more, maybe 100 less a year, you can get your heating and air inspected. You can get your plumbing inspected. You can get your garage door inspected. You can get your electrical inspected. You can get your roof inspected. You can get your foundation inspected. A lot of those you can get for free, by the way. All these big things around your house, you can get them all inspected every year under $1,000 total. That's total, not each. That's total. So if you would go ahead and do that every year, there will not be many surprises coming down with the big ticket items in your house. You're going to be all right.
That is such a smart recommendation. And I
got one.
Right? Well, I'm putting this one into my Palm Pilot too. So,
okay.
Welcome back, Scott. I have just one more question that I would love to ask Dave is real quick. What is one skill you think a homeowner should be able to do around their house?
They should be able to use their telephone. That's the most important thing, is to be able to use your phone. Exactly. The last thing you want to do is get your screwdriver out and stick it in somewhere and get in over your head in a hurry and then have to pay more for a repair when, you have to be real and honest with yourself to know I can do this or I can't do this. So your describing skills and your phone will get you. And there's a lot of companies out there, you call them and just say, look, this is what's wrong. And they'll be happy to say, do this or do that. They don't need to come out and make money because they would much rather you flip a switch and save them come all the way out to your house, charge you $200 for a service call, and then go all the way back. And all you can think of that company is those no good little told me $200 and he came out and he flipped a switch. So you use the phone, you call people, you get their opinions. And then if you need help, they're right there.
Such great pieces of advice, Dave. This was fantastic. And I'm bummed and we've already had a great lunch. But thank you for joining us again. Scott, welcome back. What did you think about today?
Kayleen, this is another one that I feel like I have a million questions for Dave and things to add to the conversation. So I loved early on about when you were talking about, careers in construction and careers in the skilled trades. And I just wanted to add one other thing, Dave, that I know and Kayleen, I know there's so much upward potential in our industry, right? You can start out as a laborer making 13 or 15 an hour, but we just heard a story from C.W. Matthews. They're a big highway contractor here in Atlanta. They hired one of our high school construction graduates for $13 an hour. Within 3 years, he's been promoted to a foreman at C.W. Matthews, making close to $80,000 a year. He has a company truck. He has benefits. So, those are the sorts of stories we need to continue to lift up. You can start out in construction at whatever level is comfortable for you, and then you can climb as high as you want to climb. There is so much opportunity in our industry. The other thing, Dave, you'll appreciate this. I did a quick search. I keep an eye on Indeed.com, which is a job, aggregator. It pulls from all these different job boards. And I'm going to mention a company because we talk generalities a lot about you can make a lot of money in our industry. Right here in Atlanta, right now, Castile Heating and Cooling is offering up to $150,000 a year for an electrician, $160,000 a year for a heating and air technician. These are real jobs with a real company. Now, I want to make it real clear, you can't waltz in without any experience. You have to be an experienced, trained, licensed, electrician or heating and air tech, but you can make a lot of money in our industry. And this is just one company. And you can go on Indeed.com and see that right now. So it's amazing.
when somebody leaves to take that job, everybody else moves up a step, and then there's somebody at the bottom they need to fill that person at the bottom. So I mean, the overturn, the overturn. See there, I messed up again. Don't you feel better because I admitted that I messed up again?
Oh, goodness.
So you just got to keep feeding that. It's an aging supply line, so lots of room in there for you.
Perfect. Yeah, Mitch said I need to call into your show on Saturday with the rest of my questions. So maybe I'll do that. I'd love to continue the conversation, and would love to work with you moving forward on how we get more young people into our industry, because there are great jobs. We know there are young people out there who would thrive in these jobs. We just need to continue to connect those dots. So
there you go. We need to have Kayleen on the show.
I'm so game. Yeah, Dave, I'm putting you into my Palm Pilot. Let me know when. I love it, really. And see, younger kids don't get that joke. I do it just because
I get that joke.
Yeah.
We're on Eastern time, so it's 7 to 10 your time.
I know,
9
right?
to noon, because you're on Mountain Time, and nobody lives on Mountain Time.
Nobody knows what it is. Yeah. It's awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time for lunch. This was fantastic and really rich with information. And again, for any of our fans watching, feel free to type into the chat box any questions. We'll be happy to answer. So Scott, Dave, I hope you both have a terrific rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, Kayleen.
Thanks, Dave.
Enjoy the rest of your morning.
Thanks. Bye, friends.
Bye, Kayleen.
Goodbye.
All right, Dave, that was great.
Did we pass all the check marks?
That was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. I don't
Good.
think I've laughed so much during a show in a while. That's great. And that's a good thing. That's fun. We want these to be fun.
Good.
Good.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I
I'll
appreciate
again
it.
if you need me.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
You were great, Kim. Kim, you were the best.
I mean, I tried. I did type in
You
your
were
website and put your website and all the information in. So when you break the internet this afternoon, you'll wonder what happened. You'll know why now. You're
Okay.
welcome.
I'm going to blame it on you. Thank you.
She's the one. All right, Dave. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.